Last episode, we got the medium well Hellcat engine running on a pallet. And now it's time to put it in the Jeep. Except I want to fit it out with the accessories first, just to be sure everything's gonna work. So my dad and I were headed off to the junkyard to find some junk. They did not take out the Freon, and I'm not gonna breathe that in. And nothing fits. I know it looks like it does, it doesn't. Silly me, I must have gotten the Temu car parts. So instead I bought the accessories off of LKQ. Alternator. It's probably the alternator. Nice, man. Why does it say Toyota right there? Is there a conspiracy? So I've got all the accessories on there. As you can see, there's no AC. And for that, I bought an AC delete serpentine belt. Let's put it on. Voila. As you can see, I just jerry-rigged up a line that just returns the power steering fluid back into the reservoir. And I'm doing that because I want the engine to run with this on there, but I don't want to run this power steering pump dry. So I want to run it to see if I can control the alternator. I don't have high hopes, but with enough trial and error, maybe I'll get something to work. Okay, I've tried several different combinations on this alternator, and I've noted that one of the wires just does not matter, but the other one, when hooked up to 12 volts, gives me too high of a voltage. And then I found a guide online that taught me how to actually control the alternator using that wire through the Holly instead of this voltage regulator that I've been going off of for years now, actually. So I created this little yellow harness right here, and I'm just tapping into the correct input and the power tap, if you can tell right there. And this just runs to the alternator's wire. Very, very temporary. Let's see if it works. Dozens of attempts later, my starter and the neighbors now hate me, but I finally lucked out.
I don't know why.
I'm on the pin, the field pin of my alternator, and then I've got the splice up here. I've just got the PWM and the 12 volt power tap this time, not the 5. That was like just another one of those shots in the dark. I don't know what I'm doing, and people on the forums didn't necessarily suggest this. I just tried it, and it works. So I cleaned off the engine one last time, put these little O-rings on the heater tubes after I cleaned them up. Time to install them on the new water pump. Then it was finally time to remove the old engine. With help from my dad, it took maybe just a couple hours since this was probably our 4th time removing the engine from this Jeep. And now to address some questions. Is this the last time you're swapping your engine? Yes, but probably no, and no, I don't think it's an addiction. Is it gonna be able to do wheelies? Well, if it can't, then I will have failed. What are you gonna do with the old engine? I just want you to imagine for a second. We have the old 5.7 Hemi out. This is a 2007 pre-Eagle Hemi, and it has been so much fun, but it was time for it to go. Here's the engine bay. I need to clean some of this up, and we are going to load the entire Jeep onto this trailer so that we can evacuate the AC. We're taking it to a buddy. Barely fits. One mildly sketchy ride to the shop later, and we had all the refrigerant evacuated from the AC system because I'm not a climate terrorist. Coincidentally, I saw the old 4-cylinder engine that used to be in the Jeep that I donated to the shop a couple years ago now. Boy, how far we've come. Maybe I do have an addiction. We've got the Hellcat undressed, and we've got it attached to the cherry picker. Putting in the Hellcat took even less time than getting the old engine out since I have an addiction. The only real issue was that thingamajig was coming into contact with the doohickey, so I removed it temporarily. She is in. Look at this. Fits very well. The oil fill tube is usually right there, but it was contacting my brake booster, but only when the engine is sagged. It's actually tilted. It's tilted in a way that isn't how it is when I have a transmission installed. So when I have the transmission, it brings the rear back up, and so this will no longer contact. It's like 3 a.m., and I've pulled all-nighters almost every night up to this point, and I think I'm getting sick. And sick I got. But nothing a couple days off couldn't cure, and then I was back on it to install the transmission. Unfortunately, I didn't realize up until now that there was an extra bushing at the rear of the crankshaft that needed to be removed before installing a pilot bearing. I tried giving it some heat, using a puller. I also tried cutting it and asking it nicely. What ended up working was welding a nut to it and screwing in a big bolt. No way. Woo! Let's get this pilot bearing in. And from there, I was able to get these shiny circle thingies cleaned up and installed.
So, big update. Got the transmission in. It's all up in there. It's all nice and tidy. I did not record it. It took several hours. It's 5 a.m. now. I sound like an absolute smoker. The engine is at its ride height, and I dropped on the Hellcat supercharger. Now, what I'm dying to know is whether or not the hood will close. Alright, I'm letting go. No. Yeah, so it closes, but it doesn't latch.
As much as I'd like to get this Jeep running in this video, I just got a little too sick to continue. You can still hear it in my voice. But rest assured that I've surely rested since then, and in the next video, we'll get this thing ripping for sure. Thank y'all for watching.